You know, a baseball player can really sell themselves as long as they have a good pitch. Hey, shh! Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we talk movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. This is my wife, Kelsey.
Sweet
I couldn't
Caroline.
have possibly guessed that that's what you were going to do. What happened is I told her she doesn't need a specific saying, and now she just keeps coming out the woodwork with anything.
I feel like me just coming up with one on my own and not collaborating with you just sounds so much more authentic because you don't get a say. And if it sounds bad, you can cut it. But if not, she stays.
I'll bloody cut you out of the whole thing and talk to myself. Why don't you instead tell us the story of 2005's Fever Pitch?
Well, you see, Ben loves the Boston Red Sox. Never misses a game until he meets a woman named Lindsay. And she's a workhorse. And they fall in love.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a rom-com, so you can probably guess where the story's going, even if you've never seen it. But there is a bit of uniqueness to this story, I think, compared to rom-coms I've seen, but I can't say that I've seen that many. I'm sure this has been done in a Hallmark movie, but we start off with Ben Reitman as a child. His mother is saying he has no friends, he just isn't doing anything, and so she sends him off with his uncle, and the uncle takes him to a Red Sox game. That's what the uncle likes to do. He's not really a kid guy, and he falls in love that day. Ben just loves the game, he loves the environment, and his uncle tells him, be careful, kid, they'll break your heart, because if you know anything about the Red Sox this time, they weren't doing great. They were just consistent losers, that kind of thing. So that is just to establish Ben's love for baseball and specifically the Boston Red Sox. But we get a time jump to him being an adult. He is now a geometry teacher, and he goes every year, I guess, he takes some of like the brightest kids in his class to see real application of geometry being used in a professional setting so that the kids can see, they could make a career out of this. And he goes to meet Lindsay, who works as
Mathlete.
I have no idea what she does.
It never says what she does. She just is like, this is all about numbers.
Yes, and she's played by Drew Barrymore. And I will say one thing that I really liked about this movie. I mean, I don't think I mentioned it, but Ben is played by Jimmy Fallon. It's a rare acting role for him. And I was told a lot that he's a terrible actor. And I think for me, what I felt was that I have a hard time separating him out from the host of The Tonight Show. And it just felt like I was watching a game on The Tonight Show.
I will say, like, he was not the host of The Tonight Show when he did do his acting gigs.
So if I'd seen it then, maybe.
I think if you've seen, like, the one other movie I can recall him being in, which we've talked about it's with Queen Latifah, it's called Taxi. He's one of those types of people that it seems like he would play the same character.
Always.
Yeah. Like, he just kind of got pivoted to that role, I guess.
Well, I kind of liked him in this, I will say. And I think that's where I was going at with this is Drew Barrymore is very likable, obviously. And so is Jimmy Fallon. I mean, obviously recently there's been some shit about him maybe not being that nice of a guy. I think he's super nice. Unless it comes out and it's all true, then I never liked him and he's horrible. Anyway, the two of them being the leads of this movie, I think really help this movie along because they're both likable. And that'll come up again. But anyway, they meet because of this kid thing. Once he's leaving with the kids are all talking about how hot she was and that she is out of his league. So he goes back to ask her out.
Well, I like one of the kids is like, no, you could get her. I saw her glance to the pants.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I'm down. Like
He does. But when he goes to ask her out, she turns him down. And then we get her talking to her friends as well as Ben talking to his friends, kind of discussing, well, why did he get a no? And first of all, Ben is out there playing football, and all I can think is, yeah, fucking right, is Jimmy Fallon just pushing over all these dudes.
You know what it made me think of? I don't remember what year Legally Blonde came out, but there's a scene in Legally Blonde where her ex-boyfriend is like playing football and she's out there in like her bikini top laying down, and they're all like on Harvard's campus law school buddies like, playing touch football, trying to show off. And like, I could only imagine like this was just one of those scenes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's, it's.
I think it was to introduce his friends.
Yeah, well, I was gonna actually say, a criticism I have of this movie is Lindsay's friends are nonsense. They're only there to be like, she has friends. I don't think I need to see that, because when she's talking to her friend, like, oh man, her friends suck. Just
not all of them. That one was like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And the one that gets pregnant in the end.
You're right.
I don't even know their names. I don't know if it ever says names. I have no idea. But yeah.
Anyway, they're discussing why, Lindsay is saying, apparently, I don't know, she's picky, she's getting older, she thinks she should be more open, why not? They're all like, he's a teacher, he's not going to make that much money. And she's like, well, why does that matter?
It's really not all of her friends. It's Robin. It's the one friend.
They are, just being judgmental about him. Ben, on the other hand...
Basically on the basis that he's a school teacher and doesn't make as much money as her.
Yeah, pretty much. Ben, on the other hand, like, his friends, they aren't as shitty. But, the point is it's just discussions of why he got to know, which just seems almost pointless because it quickly turns around. I will say that during this, we get a scene of him in school, I think. Maybe it doesn't happen to this part, doesn't really matter. I just wanted to reference it because it's funny as fuck. He throws a fucking ball, I don't even know, maybe a baseball, because that's what the movie's about, and it hits another faculty member in the school, and she turns around and there's a kid with a neck brace, and Jimmy Fallon grabs a kid, is like, what are you doing throwing that ball, come on, and takes him into the office. He's like, thanks kid, I owe you one.
I think it was like a paper ball, like a paper.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's at that he's in the office and he finds out that Lindsay called him to schedule a date.
Yes, that is, I guess, where that happens. So he goes for this date with Lindsay, goes to her apartment, she's in there dying of food poisoning, basically.
She's like, somebody kill me.
Yeah.
And he's like, is everything okay?
And he goes in there to help her, and I understand this scene was to be like, what a good guy. But all I wrote down was, why are you undressing her to put her in pajamas? You've known this woman not even a full day. Well, maybe they've talked, I don't know. Time in this movie goes by without really mentioning it a lot. But don't undress her. You don't know her. If she's sick, you can fucking prop up a pillow, heat her up some soup, whatever, and then get the fuck out. Don't.
He stayed all night.
Yeah, he took her clothes off and looked.
Yeah, it's funny like you mentioned that, but like what I wrote down is to make her only be sick with food poisoning. Boy, did they do a number to her hair and her nose to make her look like absolute dog water. Like,
this kind of goes with this scene. When Lindsay gets sick from food poisoning and vomits in the bathroom, Drew Barrymore and the producer, Nancy Juvonen, wanted the scene to be shot so that Barrymore is never seen vomiting, and directors Peter Farley and Bobby Farley agreed. And I know that's just a small thing, but I'm bringing it up because you and me talk about it. I say all the time, anytime I see a fucking movie where someone's puking, I say there's no reason to show the puke.
No,
it's just gross
zero.
for no reason.
That, or just like when somebody is standing there and randomly pukes. There's a kid that does that in a movie, and I can't think of the movie right now.
Exorcist.
No. No.
The point is I don't want to see puke. Never have I ever been like, nice.
Yeah.
I never want to see it. I don't want to see chunks. I don't want to see colors. Just make a gag noise and run away. And I will be like, oh, they puked.
Thank God you get a point. You get a half a point for that alone.
Well, anyway, after that, Ben cleans her apartment. He fucking brings her some DVDs. Like, it's showing he's a good guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Besides my comment about, I think you didn't need to undress her. She can be sick in her normal clothes.
Right.
After that, they do actually start dating. They go out on a date.
They're just walking in the park, really. Yeah, just getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, they're at lunch or coffee or something, and he's like, I'm just her boy toy / sex slave, and he's like, call your mom.
Yeah, Jimmy
like
Fallon makes a lot of good jokes throughout it that we won't get to touch on all of them, but like he is pretty good with some one-liners. I don't know if they were written or if he came up with them. Obviously, he is a comedian, so maybe he did. But he's got a lot of those through this movie. After they start dating, and Ben meets Lindsay's friends, like at like a party, like the men are all enthralled with him because he's got these crazy good tickets to the Red Sox game because his uncle gave them to him. If you know anything about baseball, these seats that are up front are fucking held down like national treasures. Like people you can't buy those seats. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire.
And he's got it on the third base dugout, which is like where the home team sits. And they're all like going insane over him. But then all the girls somehow migrate to the closet. Or to a bedroom or a closet.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
drinking wine and she's in the closet. Yeah, it's just a very, like, you know, fucking, I hate it. But the men go over here, the women go over here. Anyway, the girls, or at least Robin, is like, why is he so old and single? Shouldn't he be taken by now? Like, first of all, what a shitty attitude.
Because her friend is still single. It kind of comes out later that, like, she secretly doesn't want it to work out with Ben because she doesn't want to feel like Lindsay is quote unquote better than her.
Yeah.
Because her and Lindsay are both super, like, successful professionally, but now Lindsay makes more money than her, and if Lindsay is successful in a relationship, then she'll be quote unquote better than her, which all of that comes up later, but I feel like it's good to mention that now for context.
Her friend sucks.
Yeah, she does. Do you think that there has to always be, like, a reason why somebody is single at, say, 30?
I don't think there has to be a reason. If somebody could be fucking 40 and have never dated somebody and you have no idea, you just have to get to know somebody, talk to them, that kind of thing. I don't think there's a way for you to know. And besides, fucking maybe they just broke up with somebody.
I know. I just think people put too much harp on, like, you have to be married and... settle down.
Especially in older romantic comedies like this, I think they do that. Anyway.
I mean, they still make some jokes and say some things in this. Like, I think harping on him being a school teacher and her being super successful is just, like, they harp on that so much in this movie that it almost, like, watching it now instead of as a kid, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it falls flat for sure. So during that scene of her shitty friend being shitty, she tells a story about some guy that somebody was dating and they didn't know what was wrong with him, and then they found he had a fucking bag of
all the
hair clippings and toenail clippings that he's had his entire life. And they're grossed out, but then she's kind of waiting for that, and the time does come where she finds out his obsession, and it's the Red Sox. And she was like, no, I know you like the Red Sox, but he's like, well, no, I go to their fucking trainings, I do this fantasy shit. And she's like, that's okay. I think it's cool that you're able to love something like that. And he's excited about that, and they decide it's going to work out. Because
I want to mention, just for context of people, to not miss it. He says, I haven't missed a game in 11 years. And that's a home game, or he's like at a bar or at home watching the game. Do you know how many games are in MLB season? I Googled it for 2004 because that's the year that this movie is talking about. The Boston Red Sox played 162 games that season alone.
I mean, that's...
So, like, it is a huge part of his life, and I don't think that she realized, like, I guess how many baseball games they play. It's like 7-8 months of the year.
I mean, he's definitely on a whole nother level with it. Like, I'm not a sports guy. I don't watch any kind of sports. I don't follow any teams. And so, obviously, I don't get it. But even when you meet somebody that's into sports, you probably don't expect that they never miss a game and that they go to trainings. He's definitely a step above.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, his entire apartment is only Red Sox stuff. It's like, she says, it's like a gift shop.
Yeah. So Ben and his friends go to the spring training, and they're on ESPN, and he's yelling like a fucking maniac, and he's like,
We're
nothing.
gonna go all the way.
He says something like his order of things that are important are like Red Sox, sex, and breathing.
Yeah.
And Lindsay's father's watching the TV, not knowing who this guy is, just like, what a jackass. And she's like, ugh. So anyway, she goes to see him at his apartment during this thing where they're fucking debating games. And she's like, I saw you on ESPN. He's like, oh, we probably looked like morons. Yeah, you looked fucking horrible. Also, you're a teacher and you could get fired.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lindsay says it's going to be perfect because I can work for my promotion. I don't have to feel guilty because you're busy with this. And we're still going to go to opening day together. But things seem like they're going to go great. Like everything seems fine, even though he's got this obsession. Doesn't seem like they're going to have any trouble. Ben then meets Lindsay's parents at dinner, and he's just... first of all, when they're getting dressed, she's like, you don't have any adult clothes, and that's kind of shitty, but she wants her parents to like him more than her fucking sister or something stupid, some weird B fucking plot that's never mentioned again. And when they're at dinner, first of all, he's eating lobster like a child. I don't know, his hands are so covered. I thought he was eating wings until they said lobster. Not
only is he eating lobster, but he has like a napkin in his shirt. And then someone starts talking about the Red Sox, and he goes, la, 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 and puts his hands over his ears. And it's so childish because he's missing the Red Sox game that he'll go home, and because they're on an away game, that's why he was allowed to go to dinner. He'll go home and watch the game that he's recorded.
As somebody who once took calls from people having trouble with their TV and bitching about not being able to watch a recorded game, look that shit up and move the fuck on. Let me just put this in here now so everybody knows. I said I don't like sports. I actually have a fucking hatred for sports because you people act ridiculous. You scream at other human beings about it like those people's feelings don't matter because of this team. This team full of people you don't know that you bet money on and waste money on. This team that don't give a fuck about you and wouldn't piss on you to put a fire out, and you act like they're your goddamn family. And then, when you call into places I used to work that suck ass as well, and you bitch because you can't watch the fucking game because of your shit's not working, who the fuck cares? Let me tell you what they're gonna do. They're gonna play the fucking game, the same exact game they've been playing for 100 fucking years. Nothing's gonna be different. No one's gonna do anything that's ever not been done before. And guess what? At the end of the day, all the fucking people, winners and losers, walk away with millions, and you sit there and cry because you bet your fucking thousands, your puny fucking money they wouldn't wipe their ass with. Anyway.
That was such a soapbox. And he's talking about the few people who ruin it for everyone else. Not every person who enjoys sports is like that. I don't yell at the TV. I look things up all the time.
If you personally upset other people with your obnoxiousness, that's when you're a problem.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're yelling in your house, if you're yelling at a fucking Buffalo Wild Wings, that all makes sense. But when you're like this fool at a fucking fancy restaurant screaming, covering your ears because someone's talking about the game, grow up.
Hot dog. We got him all riled up, boys and girls.
I'm sweating.
Yeah. Everyone, people, he's riled.
After that, it seems like dinner's going bad, but really it doesn't matter because the very next scene is him out golfing with her parents and everything's magically better. Like, I feel like a lot of scenes in this movie just don't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to talk about that scene at length. Lindsay starts going to the games with him.
It's a montage, basically.
Yes, in this montage, she's going to games, she's having a good time, but also she's fucking up at work because she's tired. They're having sex all night, apparently. I think Ben just gets a fucking hard-on after he's watched the Red Sox.
It's not even a hard-on for her. It's for the Sox.
And, some important client comes. They say it's an important client. Hasn't been mentioned until this fucking point. And then they act like, what a bitch, because she wasn't awake at her desk.
Well, they had to introduce the guy for later.
Yes. While I'm talking about her going to these games, I want to mention that while they were filming this in Toronto, Drew Barrymore was asked to throw the first pitch of the game there, and it barely made it to the plate. And she was extremely embarrassed.
The fact that, she made it to the place, you've seen 50 Cent's horrible throw. Yeah. We've seen some pretty horrible throws, and the fact that, she's like, oh, I barely made it. At least they could catch it, because some people just have horrible first pitches.
If you ever have the chance to throw the first pitch at a game, just don't do it. So, Lindsay's also trying to, get into his passion. She's reading books, which I wrote down, why the fuck are you trying to read a book at a game? It's going to be loud.
Well, she bought them to read at home, but she bought them at the game, I thought.
Still, she opens it there, and that's where they go over the Curse of the Bambino. I'm not going to go through that. If you don't know what that is, look it up.
Anyways, cheesy montage. Her work has started to interfere because she's trying to spend as much time as she can with Ben. She's going to all of these games, and he's annoyed because she's working on her computer at a game. And it's like, are you ever going to put that away? And she's like, this is my third game this week. I work all night.
Yeah, I feel like he is not understanding.
No, he's not understanding at all. And then she gets hit in the face by a foul ball, and Ben cheers.
Well, he wasn't looking and he didn't know at first, but I feel that she got hit in the temple and she should be dead. They showed it hit her in the forehead. Her face was turned.
Yeah.
That was a temple. She's dead. The rest of the movie's her dream.
Funeral. Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, is that your sequel? She was actually dead the whole time. Bruce Almighty.
But I feel, and I want to say this, even though I went on my soapbox about sports, at the end of this movie, overall, I feel the two of them made decent points. I don't feel like anyone's directly in the wrong. A lot of rom-coms, you're like, this person's wrong.
Yeah.
I understand Ben has a passion. I think they both fucked up in a few areas. I think he definitely should have been more understanding about the shit. Why does it matter that she's on her laptop? Watch the game. Yeah. She's sitting next to you.
After that, he's at, school, teaching kids, having fun games, and she comes in and has to travel to Paris for the weekend for work and is inviting him. And he decides that he can't go to Paris because the Seattle Mariners are going to be in Boston playing a game. And this seriously upsets her, which we find out in a minute that she's also thinks that she could be pregnant. and wanted to tell him in Paris, but she's also very annoyed that he can't give her 4 days because this Red Sox are playing.
And I 100% understand her point. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Paris, it's her job. And your girlfriend's asking you to go to Paris. Some people never see Paris.
She's like, I'll trade in my first class seat for 2 coach seats. Like, it'll just be the best time. It'll be a great weekend, like, relaxing getaway.
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry, can't.
And I partially understand him because if you've never missed a game, and also, I guess it doesn't come up till later, to be fair, but it turns out that this is more to him than just, oh, I like sports. It's because he had nothing as a child.
Yeah.
He felt alone. His parents got divorced. That really fucked him up. And all he had was this game, and he fell in love with it and just let all his passion and love that he had no fucking parents to give it to, go into this game. And while she doesn't know that yet, I think she's more in the right, but at the same time, I do kind of understand if I don't know. It's too much. I'm not going to try and justify.
Her part of it is being like, well, I think I'm pregnant, and that's why I wanted you to come. Why don't you say I wanted you to come because, all of this other stuff. And then she doesn't talk to him all weekend, but calls him in the middle of the night when she obviously knows it's the middle of the night and he's going to be sleeping and is like, I'm not pregnant. I got my period. I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, well, I have to go and he's trying to make sure she's okay. It shows that, he bought a onesie and was like super excited and he's hurt too, but trying to make sure she's okay.
On my first watch through of that call that she makes to him, I thought, why are you being shitty? On my second watch through, I thought, it's because this is the moment where she's thinking, would Ben have been a good father? Is this what I wanted?
Yeah.
Maybe it is what I wanted. And she's feeling very conflicted. I don't think she was trying to be shitty to him. But then, yeah, it is kind of sad because as he gets up that night with the phone, you do see he has a little Red Sox onesie that he just kind of folds up and tucks away. And it's sad because they're not really clear on what they want from each other. So after she gets back, they do talk about their future. And Lindsay mentions, exactly what I said, that she's been thinking about, would Ben have been a good father? Is this what she wants? You have to view your future. When you have a baby scare, obviously you have to think what that would look like. And she says, I know you're super into the Red Sox, but how far does this go? I'm not going to get back on my soapbox about it, but I will say she says something like, Grandma, don't die because the fucking Mariners are coming or some shit like that. And it's like, that is how some people are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Grandma's on hospice. Do you think she's going to make it the weekend so I can make it to the game? Like, people are like that. And so I understand her concern because, yeah, what if you're fucking trying to give birth? And he's like, what? The game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she even mentions that. And then, so after that, he decides that he's going to miss a Yankees game to go to this birthday party with her that he wanted. And people are like, I can't believe you're missing the Yankees game. And he talks about how much he loves her and how beautiful she is. And he doesn't scream at the radio. So he's like, it's just a game. It's just a game. And she's really happy with him. The Red Sox are losing 8-0. I only mentioned this for in a minute. They go back to her place, have sex. She's like, do you want some food? And she's going to make an omelet. And people are like, turn on the TV. This is pandemonium. And the Red Sox beat the Yankees in the bottom of the 9th inning and won the game. And he is pissed.
He's like watching the TV, and I'm only mentioning this because it made me laugh. He makes a weird noise. He's so sad. He's like, ah. Also on the TV, I laughed because they're saying like how people are celebrating. They're like, cops are toasting with underage children. Like, what do you mean?
It's pure pandemonium.
Yeah. So he comes out there and he starts fighting with her because he's mad. I mean, he loses his cool. He punches the fucking wall.
Yeah, he's a child.
Yeah, it's too much. Like, you're overreacting.
It's not her. He's blaming her, and it's not her fault.
I understand this is a big moment for you, which I did want to mention as well. People that are into sports like this are superstitious. You'd almost think that he'd be like, I can't go anymore. They win when I don't go.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that. Anyway, they get...
I think the whole point is that they lose when Ben and Lindsay aren't together.
You're right. Based on what they say in the end, I guess they do try and show that. So, this is like the fight that...
breaks them up.
All rom-coms have that. So, yeah, they break up, and Ben is fucking spiraling. Like, his friends come to fucking check on him, and he's, like, sitting there watching a replay of a game that they all talked about earlier. I guess it's, like, a famous game for how they fucking lost. And he's got, like, a pile of bones next to him from all the wings he's been... He looks so trashy.
I just thought it was hilarious because his bald anesthesiologist friend, like, everyone's like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this?
Yeah.
He's like checking his pulse, looking in his eyes, and
They
then
act like he's overdosing.
Yes.
Even the guy says like, "Where'd you get this? Where's your stash?"
yeah, you got any more? You got any more?
And so they throw him in the shower,
Yes.
and they're all fucking bathing him.
And they're bathing him, and then his baldy anesthesiologist friend is like, "You not want me to shave your balls?" Because he's like shaving.
He says, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Relax, I'm a doctor." And you can't see what he's doing because it's below the waist.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, not to pry, doc, but why are you shaving my balls?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "You don't want it?"
Yeah. And he's like, "No, get out!" Like it's just.
What are you doing?
Of all the things, he was like, he doesn't need his ass washed, but he needs his balls shaved, and I got this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, some bits of this movie I think are super funny. Anyway, he cleans his shit up and he goes to see Lindsay, and at the door is Patrick, who is the guy that she was working with. Anyway, supposedly they're there for like a work thing, but first of all, I was like, why are you answering the door? Which you hear Lindsay say, "Can you get that?" And he says, "Sure," from behind the door, but still, why? You know that somebody knocking at the door is not coming for Patrick.
Maybe she thought it was another work people, because, you know, they...
Fucking maybe. But also, Patrick opens the door holding a glass beer bottle with his teeth. Set it down. What are you doing? And two, he's holding her dog. Set it down. What are you What is wrong with Patrick?
We have to pick up our podcast dog when people come to the door.
That's not his
'cause
dog.
He's wild.
Also, Patrick is such a... No offense to the actor. I'm sure you have a wife that loves you, but it's such a fucking early 2000s idea of what a hot guy is.
Yeah,
like, he's
for
very
sure.
clearly there to be like, why would you be with Ben when you have this fucking Adonis?
His picture isn't even up.
Well, might have been the
probably
only thing he
never-
did. So, Lindsay comes to the door, talks to Ben. Ben is like, I'm not going to be like this anymore. I want to be with you. She doesn't believe him. She thinks it's just because
it's the end of the season.
Yeah, because it's the end of the season, she thinks you're just lying. And he is pretty sad. And she's like, sometimes when you hurt somebody that bad, something inside just shuts off. And she leaves, and he goes walking away. And he sobs, and I know it's a small thing, but I wanted to give them credit for making the guy cry in a rom-com.
Yeah.
Normally, you don't get that. I thought, again, like in this scene where he's kind of pouring his heart out, I think Jimmy Fallon, I really feel like he's not that terrible of an actor. And maybe that could have been the way he went if he didn't become
the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
And, like I said, this is a rare acting role for him. But, like, on The Tonight Show, he's doing... That's like a character as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always fucking being, I'm Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show host. But this is almost like a different kind of him.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say about this, on The Tonight Show, he had a segment that he played a game called Password. I mean, he has a million fucking games on there. He played it with Bryce Dallas Howard, Maya Erskine, and Donald Glover. So Donald Glover...
Oh my god.
Of course, you may know he starred in the TV show Community, which featured him wearing Spider-Man pajamas. And the comic book writer, Brian Michael Bendis, described that scene of Donald Glover in the Spider-Man pajamas as one of the major inspirations for the creation of the character of Miles Morales.
I'm not allowed to move to listen to this.
Donald Glover even voiced Miles Morales in Disney's Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series. So as you can see, Miles Morales and Donald Glover have been pretty heavily connected.
Wow, that is just such good trivia.
Thank you.
I don't know how I've gone my whole life never having heard this brand new trivia.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. We're going to move on to the movie, and Ben has decided to prove to Lindsay that that baseball is just a game because she didn't listen at her apartment. He's selling his tickets to Robin's husband.
Which she hears about. I'm mentioning this because I think it's super weird. Lindsay is at dinner with her friends.
Lindsay finds out she gets the promotion.
That's the weird
leaving.
part. Why her assistant comes up to her at dinner? Where did you come from?
I guess she knew that Lindsay was at dinner with her friends and then maybe going to go back to the office.
Okay, but why not call her? Especially in this movie that makes several comments about, why doesn't Ben have a cell phone?
Yeah, I have no idea. But then Robin just doesn't even tell Lindsay. She's just like, yeah, he's buying Ben's baseball tickets.
Yeah.
When she clearly knows that Ben and Lindsay are not together and Ben is likely selling them to get Lindsay back. Lindsay goes, accepts her promotion, and then realizes she loves Ben. He can't sell the tickets. She knows it's like a passion and he's only doing it for her and she doesn't want that. She buys a ticket from some scalpers and sprints across, drops off the green monster, which she should have broke her legs.
Before she actually gets to him and the whole thing is distracted, when he's trying to sell his tickets, I thought it was fucking hilarious that everyone's shit talking
He's,
him,
like,
but Al
shaking.
says like, yeah, he's
He's shaking his hand because he's like,
gonna
whoa, that's
sign
weird.
a contract to the guy that's gonna buy the tickets, and his hand's shaking. He's like, that's weird. And Al is like, you're having a stroke. Good.
Yeah, yeah. I also wrote that down. It's so good.
But yeah, she is on the other end of the field and drops down the wall and fucking runs across to try and get to him. And apparently, Drew Barrymore's little ass as well is just knocking dudes out. Just boom, bum rushing everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, she gets back to Ben, tears up the contract, and they're happy.
Yeah. All this happens at Fenway Park, right?
Yes.
Well, I only mention that because I have here something that I read that they this film premiered at Fenway Park. A screen was set up in center field and they played it, and they still play it on movie nights there.
That's wild.
The fucking movie, it's just over. Like,
they break the Red Sox win the World Series and break the curse of the Bambino because Lindsay and Ben got together. And surprise, she's pregnant at the World Series. They find out.
So I wanted to say, because the movie ends like that, and of course, if you follow baseball, yes, you know this is when that finally happened. This film is based on author Nick Hornby's autobiographical account of his fanatical obsession with association football while growing up. There was an original film filmed in London called Fever Pitch in 1997. Both the book and the film focus on a team winning a championship after a long trophy drought. The original story looked retrospectively at the time Arsenal FC had won the English Football League First Division in 1989 for the first time in 18 years. So the sporting happy ending was built in. This film, however, was not originally based on the Red Sox actually winning. It had to be rewritten since the Red Sox did achieve their first World Series for 86 years in the very season while this was being made. Like, they wrote it with the Red Sox losing because they were like, they're going to lose. And then before the movie was done, they fucking won. They were like, fuck! What are the fucking chances?
That's such good trivia, though.
It's just so funny because they're like, yeah, they're going to lose. Like, the Red Sox. Yeah,
they're like, well, they kind of talk about that in the movie, too. They're like, they always let us down. Like, yeah. And all of this. And then now they, like, actually broke it. It was the movie. Now that you tell me that, it was definitely the movie.
And so there's actually another cut you can buy with the original ending where they lose. Anyway, I gave this movie a 3 out of 5. I really didn't hate it, and I think, again, it's because Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon, I really liked them. Because, I'm not huge on rom-coms. I don't hate them. I mean, I'm not against watching them. Obviously, I don't like sports. But I didn't think it was all that bad besides the typical rom-com shit that you're just like, oh my God, get over it. But, like,
I think some rom-coms do a good job of, like, not making you feel that way, though. I actually gave it a 2.5. And, I like rom-com movies, but I think for me, it was watching this as a kid, you're like, oh, what a cute movie, ha ha ha, they're in love. And then, like, now I'm like, man, I can kind of see certain things they did. I'm like, Ben's a child. Nobody should nobody should talk that way. Lindsay has her moments, and then I'm also like, why do they keep making comments about how much money she makes and how she's quote unquote more successful than him? Like, money doesn't define success. Sorry, like, it doesn't. He helps kids and loves his job. So I didn't enjoy that part of the movie. I didn't hate the movie either, but yeah, I gave it a 2.5.
Okay, so for the game, because I really like Drew Barrymore and she's been an actress forever, I'm going to make this a simple game for you.
Okay.
I'm going to say something, a word or phrase or sentence, I don't know. And based off that, you need to tell me which Drew Barrymore movie it is.
Okay.
I'm not giving you a list, though.
Okay. I don't need a list.
Amnesia.
51st Dates.
Yes. Christmas. You're not going to get this one unless you think real hard.
Christmas. All of the Other Reindeer.
Yes. Crime Fighting Trio.
Charlie's Angels.
Yes. You're not going to get this one, probably. Elder Murder. Old Lady Murder.
Old Lady Murder. Okay, pass. We'll come back. Let's move on.
Okay. Alien.
E.T.
Yes.
Okay, Old Lady Murder. Old Lady Murder.
It's a movie I showed you. Title's one word.
Wait, no, I think I know it. Does it start with a G?
No.
Oh, I was thinking Gothica.
Gothica?
I don't know why. What is the Old Lady Murder? I've done so well.
I know.
Do, 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 do. Can I have another hint?
Starts with a D.
Well, like, I don't want what it
Ben
starts
Stiller's
with.
in it.
Old Lady Murder.
The old lady doesn't actually die. Duplex. Remember they buy
that? Oh, yeah.
that horrible old lady. She's got that loud ass TV.
They do it to, like, hustle people.
Yeah.
Her son's, like, it's so, yeah, I remember that. Dang, I would have, like, not remembered that.
Okay.
For some reason, when you said Ben Stiller, all I could think is, well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty when you said old lady murder. Because, like, that's
I know.
her fingers hurt and it's not her fault.
Well, go ahead with your sequel.
All right, Fever Pitch 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's just kidding. It's just Fever Pitch 2.
It's because I made the Miles joke.
I have to do it every time. I feel like this is like the type of cheesy rom-com that just needs Fever Pitch 2. No subtitle. It's been 20 years.
That's
how long. Well, that's how long it's been. 20 years since Ben and Lindsay got together at the the Sox winning the title, and they've maintained their relationship and raising their 4 children. I didn't know this, everyone. So if you watch the movie, there's an after credit scene and like a video of 4 children like go Red Sox. That's supposed to be Ben and Lindsay's kids that they have. So I kind of went with that. I said that their kids are going to be age 20, 18, and then they have 16-year-old twins at this point in time. Life's been good for them, and their oldest son is now being recruited to play in the major leagues.
Damn.
Ben is hoping for him to play for the Boston Red Sox, but his son had met a girl and fell in love in college, and she is from New York. So he is kind of contemplating if he wants to play for who? The Yankees! Dun dun dun!
I could see that being pretty funny. So
he's being recruited by multiple other teams, and like, listen, I don't want people coming at me in the comments like, well, that's not how it works. They have to go through the draft. I don't want to hear it. I know about sports. Thank you very much. This is a movie, and it's my movie. Write your own sequel. He's also being recruited by multiple other teams. But upon hearing about the Yankees, Ben is sent into a spiral. Gets very mad at his son, is thinking of choosing the Yankees over the Red Sox for a girl. Causing a rift between Ben and Lindsay because she is like, well, you should be supportive no matter what. We should love our son regardless of who he chooses. He's successful. Like, let's just be happy for him. He's healthy. But they have a family cookout to celebrate their son being recruited, and he's going to be drafted soon. And the day is going super well. His son's girlfriend is there, and then somebody says something causing Ben to lose his mind. Talking bad about the girlfriend. He ruins the party. Him and his son get in a huge argument because his son's like, you shouldn't be talking to her that way. It's my decision. It's my life. And I'm going to play for the Yankees if I want. His son takes all of his things and leaves the house and is going to live with his girlfriend. Lindsay and the 3 other children also leave, leaving Ben all alone. Ben's friends, the bald anesthesiologist, and his other friends have to come in, kind of similar to the last one, talking some sense into him as he is watching old home videos of him and his kids growing up. That's his stuff now, and he realizes that he is wrong and he should be happy for his son, and he would do anything because he doesn't want to ruin the relationship. He has to rush to get to his son's draft day and is able to give him the big I love you no matter what speech, and Ben even manages to put on a Yankees hat at the occasion to support his son and apologize to his girlfriend as well. Everyone gets on good terms, and after that, the son is going to make some kind of sly comment, like, that the audience is going to be like, oh, who's he going to play for, right? And he's going to make a comment about family, and then during the draft, he's going to be drafted by the Red Sox instead, and the son and the girlfriend are going to be wearing their Red Sox gear under their zipped-up jackets, and it's just going to be a real family affair, and the family goes on to be happy again.
I like that because I like that it's kind of a rom-com, but about a new couple almost. Mm-hmm. It's just through the lens of them, but it's not them again because you wouldn't want to see, what are we going to do, make them break up again? Don't. Yeah. Like, I like that. I think it was really good.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have an entire laid out sequel.
That's okay.
Like I normally do.
I don't. Sometimes I don't.
So I think Fever Pitch should be remade because it's too many old tropes. I don't think Jimmy Fallon is really much of an actor. And apparently, like I told you, it was originally about...
soccer?
Well, yes. So, I want to return to the roots of the book with that and use the story of Wrexham's football club as the whole base of that. Because obviously that's very popular right now. It's a very similar thing where they fucking sucked. And now it's different. And you could very easily plop this right into that. So... I don't know, Florence Pugh and Josh Hutcherson is who I picked because I think Josh Hutcherson can do the romantic thing just based off, like, Hunger Games, even though it was a little weird. Florence Pugh, I think she can do it, like, fine.
She's also English, so it'd be cool if he was like American coming over,
I
like
could see that.
visiting. Yeah,
Yeah, like,
could
definitely
be good,
that could
'cause,
help.
like she's English and Wrexham is like this huge thing over there.
I thought about maybe making her instead the one that's obsessed with it for that reason, but either way, I put they can have a little cameo. Their friends can be Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and Caitlin Olsen, just because obviously.
I think something that would be cool to give you like an idea, because I have watched the Welcome to Wrexham docuseries.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
He doesn't like sports, everyone, but like I'm obsessed. I watch it. So it'd be cool to have like some of the main characters of the doc, because they have people of the community in the documentary.
Yes, have
so
them
to have
in the
something
movie.
like this one guy, he owns the bar that's at the stadium, and like even when there's not a game there, it's open, people can come and watch. Like he could be in it.
Yeah.
And other
Absolutely,
things
this would
like
be an
that.
involve the community. If we're gonna do this at all, like because of the way this story is and how tight knit that community is, you have to bring them in or don't do it there. But using this story, I think modernizes it, and it's a story people have already heard a lot about. Because even people that just like Ryan Reynolds don't know anything else about sports heard about this, and fucking people have now heard about it just based on knowing Taylor Swift and her vicinity to Ryan Reynolds. Anyway, like I said, modernize it by getting rid of things like crazy friends that are just obnoxious, saying crazy, stupid shit. I understand some hesitance with a new person being brought into your friend's life, but not like these girls were. I still want to show him as a kid, but I think after that, I want to see him being maybe dumped because of his obsession. But at first, we think he's the asshole. Like, from the perspective of the breakup, it would look like, oh, you're a crazy asshole, and you wouldn't find out until later. And so, since Wrexham was at the point of collapse, maybe have Josh Hutcherson be, like, one of very few people who still attend, like, at that time.
Or Florence Pugh.
Yes.
Whichever one you choose, yeah.
It's just the way I wrote it was Josh Hutcherson, but I'm down to change it. That's why I didn't write out a full thing. Like, this is just kind of loose thoughts.
Yeah.
Make it, instead of him being a lonely kid, maybe change that to this is something that's important to him because his parents always went to Wrexham even when they were doing bad, and then his mom passed away. His dad stopped going because it was just too sad to go without his mom, and so
maybe he gets with Florence Pugh and Florence convinces the dad to go again or something.
Yeah. So I think less of not believing in love lasting the way Ben was, where he mentioned something like, the Red Sox never get divorced. Get rid of that and instead bring in like, I'm afraid that good things won't last. And that's where their relationship doesn't work at first.
It doesn't even have to be like the traditional rom-com, like, where they have a big fight and then break up. But some rom-coms, they don't end up together, like 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
I think in this sense they need to, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think I'd want them together. And really, like, my biggest fucking selling point was this, is I think that we have a very easy story right now to do this with.
Yeah.
Like, the Red Sox thing, that was, fucking once in a lifetime kind of story.
For sure.
And now Wrexham is...
It just happened to turn out that way because they're like, fuck, they won.
Yeah. But, Wrexham's the same thing. Anyway, that's all I have for my sequel. I mean, it would just be called Fever Pitch because it'd just be a remake.
Because the pitch, that's what they call a soccer field in England, is the pitch. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I knew because,
Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso, everyone. He was doing the Ted Lasso dance in case, because you guys can't see us. So he was doing the whole arm
I
thing.
did watch Ted Lasso. In case you're, thinking, I hate sports so much, I wouldn't watch that. This fucking show was amazing.
Listen, he has really liked some sports movies. Like, your favorite sports movie is 43. But he's liked other sports movies, and it's really just... If the movie is solely just showing sports montages and nothing else, that's kind of where you, lose interest.
I don't like watching a sports game in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
I feel like that's lazy, and how much filming did you actually do? You filmed, 20 minutes of the actors, and then you just shoved in sports? No,
yeah.
Lazy. Anyway, thank you for making it this far. If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea with a comment, tweet, or you can reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you're listening. If you had a good time, share a show with someone, leave us a review, and come back for more. We would love to have you. All right, be easy, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye.